Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we will talk about the installation of Windows 11 on unsupported PCs. Specifically, we will look at the different methods you can use to install Windows 11 on unsupported PCs. This isn't a hands-on tutorial, it's more of a review of the different methods being used. The goal is to give you enough information to guide you in selecting the appropriate method for your use case. Let's begin. First, let's understand the central idea behind all these workarounds. Microsoft requires certain hardware before you can install Windows 11. Things like TPM 2.0, secure boot, and supported CPUs. During setup, the installer checks for these components. If your PC fails the check, installation is blocked. Installing Windows 11 on unsupported PC comes down to one simple thing: skipping the hardware checks. And this is exactly what every successful bypass method does. It skips or disables the hardware checks. Several methods exist for this, but the most common ones are Registry Hack using LabConfig key, Registry Hack using MoSetup key, Product Server method, DLL Replacement, Rufus, and scripts. Now, let's look at the first method, which is the Registry Hack using LabConfig key. This method typically bypasses TPM, CPU, secure boot, and RAM checks. In this method, you manually modify the registry during setup. Specifically, during setup, you create a new registry key called LabConfig. Under that key, you then add several dword values like bypass TPM check, bypass secure boot check, and bypass CPU check. These values tell the installer to skip the hardware checks. This method is typically used for a clean installation of Windows 11 from a USB stick. It requires a bootable USB stick, and since it's a clean install, you will not be keeping your data after installation. It's simple and reliable for most unsupported PCs. The second method is the Registry Hack using MoSetup key. This method typically bypasses TPM and CPU requirements. It is similar to the first, but with two key differences. It doesn't require a USB stick. You use the MoSetup key instead of LabConfig key. So for this method, you create a new registry key called MoSetup. Inside it, you then add a dword value named allow upgrades with unsupported TPM or CPU. Again, this value performs the bypass. This method is for in-place upgrade from Windows 10, meaning you keep your files and data. The third method is the Product Server method. This method typically bypasses all major hardware checks, including TPM, CPU, secure boot, and RAM checks. This is a command line workaround. It involves running setup with the Product Server parameter. This tricks the installer into behaving like it's installing a Windows server. Windows servers traditionally have looser hardware checks than the client versions, so the setup proceeds without complaint. In some newer Windows 11 builds, the original setup.exe command was blocked. If this is so, you can try setupprep.exe from the sources folder. This method works for in-place upgrades and doesn't require a USB stick. The fourth method is the DLL Replacement method. This method typically bypasses all major hardware checks, including TPM, CPU, secure boot, and RAM checks. This method simply replaces the file responsible for hardware checks. This file is called Appraiserres.dll, and it is located in the source folder of the ISO. You replace this file with a modified one, which, you guessed it, will not perform the hardware checks. You can replace this file with one from a Windows 10 installation or even a blank file as long as they have the same file name. This method works for both clean installs and upgrades. USB stick is optional. The fifth method we will look at is called Rufus. Rufus is a free tool used to create bootable USB drives. It simplifies and automates the installation process. This method typically bypasses TPM, secure boot, and RAM checks. It can also use a modified ISO to bypass all the major hardware checks. When using Rufus to create a bootable Windows 11 USB, it asks if you want to remove TPM, secure boot, and RAM checks. You just tick the boxes and Rufus handles the rest. No registry edits, no DLL swaps, just plug and install. You'll need a USB stick, but it's great for repeat installs on multiple PCs. It's one of the easiest and cleanest methods. Finally, let's talk about using scripts and automation tools. To start with, scripts are not a method on their own. They simply automate the other methods mentioned above. They let you automatically perform your installations with little or no manual intervention. They offer unattended installs, which means simply run the script and walk away. The scripts can apply registry tweaks, patch ISOs, or launch setup with the right flags. They are great for unattended or bulk installations. Some coding expertise may be needed, except you're running scripts gotten from someone else. In that case, you also need to be careful to ensure no malicious code is in the script. And that's it. Now you know the various methods you can use to install Windows 11 on unsupported PCs. Before you try any of these methods, keep these points in mind. Microsoft does not officially support these workarounds. You might see warnings in Windows 11 about unsupported hardware. Some future updates or features may be limited or blocked. Always back up your data before installation, especially if you are doing a clean install. This is super recommended. And with that, we come to the end of this video. I have other videos that walk you through the practical steps for each method, hands-on, screen by screen. You can check them in my channel or click the links in the description. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that button and turn on notifications. Also, remember to like the video and share it with your friends. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.